Hey y'all, Howling with the Wolf. Last one of the regular season. Man, it's been a fun run. Um, Thank you guys for joining throughout the season. We don't know if this is going to be the last time we talk about a future Tennessee Titan 2017 game. Their season finale against the Jacksonville Jaguars this week obviously will be a big one. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Marcus Mariota, DeMarco Murray. I've got some nuggets for that for you guys for later and whatever you guys want to talk about. So you guys know the deal. Ask any questions you want, and I'll be sure to answer them, and we'll get it going. So I'll basically start with this. The Jags are planning to play their guys this week. So we're going to learn a lot about this Titans team. And if they don't win this week, then honestly, they don't deserve to make the playoffs. I don't care what their first 8-4 record said before it. You've got to be able to close. You've got to be able to finish late in the season. And this is a Jaguars team that doesn't really have much to play for. The Titans should beat this team. And they should make it to the playoffs. And they don't, there's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of people that have to answer to it. And I think that you have to make some type of changes. So I think this is a very important game for a lot of people in this Titans organization to play for. Wearing a suit this week because I just got off doing some live stuff from Bristol. I'm going to be on NFL Live later on today if you guys want to check that out. Talking some Titans, talking some DeMarco Murray, talking about what Jarrell Casey told me about this Jaguars matchup. So that should be coming on around 4 p.m. Eastern sometime in that hour segment. So definitely check that out, guys. I just got a note that it should be around 2:25 Eastern time that it should come on, so 1:25 local time. Definitely check that out. But I'll get to you guys' questions, and we'll get it going. Sean Fletcher saying Henry better start over Murray. It's been a long time coming. What's your opinion? Well, if you guys have been watching this segment, my opinion has been pretty steady in that Derrick Henry has been the better back, and there hasn't been much of question in that in my mind. The reasons why the Titans have been playing DeMarco Murray more than Derrick Henry is because of Murray's effectiveness in the pass game, as far as the pass blocking, as far as a pass receiver. Now DeMarco Murray's injured. He has a MCL tear, and that's something that has kept most backs out for several weeks. The Titans are holding out hope that he's going to play, but from what I understand, that's more wishful, and I wouldn't expect him to play this week. Regardless, it's going to be the Derrick Henry show. So, fans, you'll get your wish. You'll be able to see a full game of DeMarco or Derrick Henry, mostly as the feature back this week, if everything goes as I believe it will. So, I think that Derrick Henry has to show that he can be a 3-down back as far as a receiver, as far as a pass protector. That's the only thing that's holding him back. He's a bigger back. He can do it, but he's a little stiff. And I think he's still learning some of the techniques that an experienced guy like DeMarco knows already. So that will be the big challenge for him. That will be a spotlight. If he's in a lot of pass blocking situations, then the Jags will probably bring some guys to test him. I know that David Fluellen played a lot of DeMarco Murray's pass, or not a lot. He was only gone for a few snaps, but he played some of DeMarco Murray's pass game snaps after Murray left with injury. So I'm intrigued to see whether they trust Henry enough to give him the full load, or whether they say, Fluellen, you're going to play some of DeMarco's snaps. Because if you believe Derrick Henry can be your feature back, this is the time to show it. So I think it's a big day for Derrick Henry. He has owned the Jags. He has owned the Jags in recent years. We saw him earlier this week. He ran over Jalen Ramsey earlier this year, 92 yards and a touchdown. Derrick Henry should be a big reason why the Titans win this game if they win this week. So the challenge is on him. He can be inconsistent. He can miss holes, and he can struggle to get going on the initial burst. So it's on him to play better, but it's also on the Titans to lean on him when they need it. That's a long-winded answer of saying that, yes, I believe that Henry should have been playing from the jump, but now we will get to see him. Joe, who's been playing better at guard, Spain or Klein? Honestly, if you want my honest opinion, neither of them have been playing great. I think that That's an area that we need to target as far as upgrades. The Titans do in the offseason. Both of those guys, Klein is expected to be an undrafted or unrestricted free agent. Quinn Spain will be a restricted free agent. So I'm interested to see how GM John Robinson handles that. Does he try to re-sign Klein? Does he try to tender Spain? Does he draft a high round pick? Does he spend some money on the guard? The Titans have some money to spend, so it's going to go somewhere. But Robinson comes from the New England style of game where he doesn't spend a lot of money on positions he doesn't think that's important. We haven't seen that fully exploited through his GM era, but typically New England, those type guys don't spend a lot of money on interior offensive linemen. So it will be intriguing to see whether they try to add a guy of a big-time caliber. I do think they should sign a big-time free agent guard because this offensive line is taking a step back. And if they intend to be this smash-mouth team or at least a run-first team, they've got to have stout play from their offensive line, and they've got to get better production from their interior offensive linemen. What was the defense so poor against the screen? That was really one of the stories of the game, and I think a big portion of that is that the Dick LeBeau defense has increased in blitzes recently. And if any of you guys have played Madden, I'm sure that you have. The best blitz beater in Madden and also in the NFL is the screen. And I think that was sort of the pick your poison. Dick LeBeau always says sometimes you get the bear and sometimes the bear gets you. They were bringing a lot of pressure and blitzes after the Rams, and they had some success, but they got beat on those screens when they blitzed at the wrong time. So the Rams, Sean McVay was really good at calling when to exploit those blitzes, and I think maybe we see them dial back a little bit on those screens because I'm sure the Jaguars watch film, and I'm sure they're going to try to implement some of those as well. It's really difficult to defend a screen if you're not playing a zone or a man coverage without blitzing. So I think that we will see a little bit less blitzing this week, try to prevent some of those screens. But Ty Gurley is an explosive back, and I don't know that the Jags have a player of Gurley's caliber as a receiving back that can beat them in that way. So it may just be a one-game sort of thing as far as the screens. Colby, Jags will not rest any starters, so we better bring it. That's correct. I just talked to Doug Marrone in the conference call about 15 minutes ago, and he told me, hey, this is a team that beat our butt in week 2, and the only way that to face a team beat your butt is to get another opportunity and beat them. So he plans to play his starters. He said if anybody's healthy enough to play, they will play. I have my skepticism on whether a guy like Leonard Fournette, who's been banged up with a thigh all year, would play. But Doug says they're going to play. So until otherwise, the Titans have to prepare to play for the Jags' best shot. And, this is a team that obviously they beat in week 2 by 21 points. But this is a team that came off a loss against the 49ers, so they will have stuff to prove. They got kind of embarrassed in that 49ers game. They thought they were, they were smelling themselves a little bit. They thought they were really good, and they got kind of humbled the same way the Titans did on this 3-game losing streak. So I think they will come out. Whether it will be starters playing all game, I'm not sure about that. But I do think that they won't roll over for this Titans team, so they'll have to come to play. Let's see. Has anyone seen Derrick Henry pass block? I've seen him. He's not terrible. I think people are overestimating if he's terrible. I think that DeMarco Murray is clearly the better pass blocker. But I think for Derrick Henry, it's more awareness, making sure he knows where the blitzer's coming, and then being agile enough to move and get a blitzer who's twisting and coming through. So I'll be definitely watching his pass block ability this week because that will tell us a lot about next season and whether the Titans can trust him as a feature back or whether they have to get another more third down receiving back to complement him. Lewis is asking, how bad is Mariota hurt? He definitely doesn't look even 185% healthy. I'm sure he's banged up. Everybody is this time of year. He hasn't shown the ability to run as often as he has recently. I think a lot of it's mental, honestly. You're in a position where you got hurt your previous 2 seasons. Everything you're hearing coming into the season is stay healthy, stay healthy, stay healthy. And you hurt your hamstring, and that was a really frustrating period for him, and it took him a few weeks to get past it. And then he had the knee injury. That was a real scare. So, I mean, honestly, I think sometimes it's Marcus being a little tentative because he doesn't want to get hurt. And That's really a scary way to play, but I think it's realistic. It's realistic as a human perspective, because that's really the only thing coming into the season that was keeping him from being great is his health. And now that that's sort of becoming a mental element that he's thinking about, I think that's had some impact on some of his bad habits and some of his skill set kind of regressing, so to speak. So I think the offseason will do him well as far as fixing those bad habits, and obviously he's got to get healthy. I'm sure there's some effects as far as the hamstring, as far as the surgery from the ankle, as far as the knee. So he's got to get healthy, but I don't think we should use the injuries as a full excuse of why he has had the year that he's had. Let's see. Update on Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan is expected to try to give it a go and practice later this week. Whether that means he's going to play or not, we're not sure. He missed last week, and honestly, he wasn't close. I saw him on the field in pregame workouts, and he didn't do anything. He was sort of limping coming in too. It's a fairly significant injury as far as the ankle. It's not just a typical low ankle sprain. So this is something that he's going to have to try to fight through. He's looked better per the coaching staff this week. I'm guessing he's going to try to do everything he can to play this week, but that might be another game time decision for him. If he can show something on Friday, maybe he can push to play. Hey, Auntie, how are you? Thank you. Jaquan is asking, what about Taywan Taylor? With us using him no more, how about playing him more? I feel like we could use him like a Tyreek Hill. Yeah, I agree. I'm a big Taywan Taylor fan. The issue with Taywan Taylor, and it's not going to be something that's going to change this season, is the Titans don't trust him. The Titans don't trust him to know what he's going to be doing on a specific play. They don't trust him to line up in the right route and be in the right position. And some of that scheme element, a lot of complicated scheme, and it may be difficult for rookies to pick up. And some of it is sort of curious on why they're asking their receivers to do what they're doing. But that being said, when they go no huddle, they've got to have guys that know exactly where they're supposed to be. So that's why you'll see a lot more Eric Decker and Rashard Matthews, and then some Corey Davis who's been playing better. I think Taywan Taylor is going to be an important offseason for him to get into the playbook, whether Mike is back or it's a new offensive coordinator or whatnot. To really excel, because he has the skill set. I think it's just sort of the mental aspect and being in the right position for him that will make him a potential Tyreek Hill, like you mentioned. Jonathan, what's the likelihood we see Henry get 20-plus carries? If Murray doesn't play, and that's sort of what I'm expecting this week, I think that there's a decent chance that he gets 20-plus carries. I think we should see them hand over the workload to Henry. And if they are running the ball 20 times with Henry, I think there's a pretty good chance they win this game. So yeah. Has anyone mentioned what's going on with Ben Jones and the low shotgun snaps? I'm sure it's messing with the timing of things. Yeah, I've actually I've seen that recently. I think with Ben Jones, you've got to get those snaps up. I won't pretend that I've played center before. I know the difficulties of that. I'm sure there's some lingering injuries that are going on with Jones at this point. But it's simply you got to make that assignment. They don't have another backup center. It's going to be Ben Jones. So he's got to work with that with Marcus, especially since they go shotgun and no huddle quite a bit. So, yeah, that's on Ben. And I don't really have an answer on that other than I know he is nicked up and banged up. Do you think Lewan will set the market at left tackle? He's due for a big raise soon. I think Lewan is getting paid. I think he will get paid. As far as resetting the market, as far as what guys are making, sort of Trent Williams and whoever's the highest paid left tackle, I'm sure he'll shoot for that. Will he become the highest paid left tackle? I'm not sure. The Titans have quite a bit of cap room to work around. My guess is they want him to be a Titan for the rest of his career. So I expect a long-term extension, whether this offseason or after the next year. But he's definitely, his money is coming soon. Vincent's action, do you think they play the whole game? I was thinking the first half. I think the same thing. I was just talking to Jimmy Wyatt, who covers the team for the Titans. I'll believe it when I see it that they're going to play all out the entire game. I think there's a decent chance that they play preseason mode as far as a third preseason game, where maybe they play their starters a half or a quarter and we kind of go from there. Or maybe they sit some of their key banged up starters like Fournette, Cam Robinson, some of those guys, and kind of play half and half. But they don't have a bye, and there's a decent chance that the Jags play their first game on Saturday because of the appeal of this team. So it would be a short week against the playoffs, and you can't come in banged up. I know you want to beat the team that beat you early in the season, but revenge is not as important as trying to get a playoff win. So I know it's a Tom Coughlin scheme. They don't take anything lightly, but I'll believe it when I see it that these guys are going to play 4 quarters with all their starters extremely hard. That's just my take. Will Henry start even with Murray hurt? I believe that it will be Derrick Henry's show. That's what I'm hearing. Brian, worst case scenario, 8-8 and miss the playoffs. Does Malarkey get an extension as you've been predicting? Go in next season as a lame duck or get his walking papers? I think that's an interesting question. I know a lot of people have been talking about it. The issue becomes is that there's probably going to be 8, 10, maybe 12 coaches that are fired this offseason. So that's a market of a lot of coaches there and a lot of teams that are on the fence, which Titans probably would be in an 8-8 scenario, would have to, say, are we going to be able to get a coach that we want? Is who is out there going to be better than what we have? And you still got to look at the overall span of things. So I think that might be a scenario where maybe he gets a short extension. Maybe he goes in lame duck. Maybe they sort of say, hey, you've got to fire your OC or something like that, and it's going to be up to Mike on whether he has to do that. I know Amy Adams Strunk really likes Mike, and I know the Titans organization has historically been reluctant to make moves quickly. I think you have to be careful in having a Mike Munchak situation where you fire Mike Munchak after 3 years of mediocre ball, and then you go into Ken Whisenhunt. Everybody's expecting it to go Sean McVay's way, which would be lovely, but it could also go Ken Whisenhunt. And I would take Mike Malarkey over Ken Whisenhunt 11 times out of 10. And I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. So that's a lot of the things that go into consideration. I think if it gets 8-8, it's really sticky. You can't go in and say we're going to keep it status quo. So does that mean changes the OC level, head coach level? What do you do? I think something has to change, though. I think I just talked about that, Andrew, as far as faded coordinators. If they go 8-8, I think you have to look at making changes, whether it's the QB coach, whether it's the OC. And then obviously Dick LeBeau has a decision to make at the end of the year regardless on whether he wants to continue. If they make the playoffs, I think they come back. And regardless of whether they're one and done, I think they come back status quo. That's just my opinion. Does it concern you not seeing Marcus throw for multiple touchdowns in a game this year? I don't think he's been comfortable. That's my issue. I don't think he's been comfortable. He looks skittish. He looks like he's sort of, I don't know. I don't want to say scared, but it looks like he's uncertain on what he's doing in the pocket a lot of times. And that's concerning for me, watching a quarterback who was really explosive for most of his career. So that's my concern. But I think that he can be fixed. I'm not throwing the book on Marcus and saying this dude is done. This dude is too talented to be able to call it a year on him. I know last year we were talking about Jared Goff and how he was a bust, and now he's looking like he's going to be, a potential, MVP candidate at some point. So I'm not ready to give up on a quarterback after a rough year. I think a lot of it has to do with the scheme. A lot of it has to do with his injuries and his comfort. So give him another year, and we'll see coming into next year. I'll answer a couple more, and then I'll bounce. They got practice in a little bit. I got to change out of this suit, so I don't go out there. It's 20 degrees outside. But, yeah, I'll answer a couple more. Thanks, guys, for tuning into this. Love doing it. Love chatting with y'all. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be on NFL Live, I think actually in about 15 minutes at 1:25 Central Time, 2:25 Eastern Time, segment on the Titans. So definitely check that out. They haven't been talking about the Titans much, so I ain't got a lot of national TV time. So, yeah, check that out. So they'll keep calling me for them hits. I need y'all. But, yeah, I'll go ahead and answer a few more, and then we'll go ahead and bounce. Kobe, if we don't make the playoffs 2018, Malarkey will be a goner, in my opinion. Yeah, I think I talked on that earlier. I think it will be a question, but you got to look at the factors that I mentioned earlier. But I definitely think the Titans will have a decision to make as far as change and how much to make. Do you expect a more fired-up crowd this weekend? I'm hoping the fans can step it up like last weekend. Yes, there was empty seats, but Nissan was rocking. You got to hope so, but the problem is New Year's Eve, 3:25 start. Guys got folks worried about their New Year's Eve plan. I think this is a game where you make the playoffs for the first time since 2008 if you win. So fans should be out there. I'm not a team employee, so I'm not gonna campaign for y'all to be at games or whatnot. That's whatever y'all want to do. But I do think that if I was a fan of a playoff team, a potential playoff team, I'd go and see the game. Especially the with the cost that these tickets are. I saw some tickets for $10 last week. And that was Christmas Eve, but $10 for NFL tickets, that's ridiculous. So yeah, that's just my take. I know the group, the team wants to see the fans out there, so it can only help them. So yeah, that's my take. Kevin Dodd, I think he played better last game. I still want to see consistency and more out of him, but I do think he played better last game, and I didn't notice he played more hand in the dirt. I ultimately think that's his best position, to bulk up and become a defensive end. I think he'd be better in a 4-3, but even if he's in a 3-4 here, I think that could be a better spot. But it take an off season for him to bulk up. I'll answer one more, and then I will get out of here. Future hold for me, I'm good. That check always clear. But it would mean that nobody cares about the Titans anymore unless they have a coaching change. So I would just kind of go into the offseason, focus on draft and free agency, and talk to y'all every once in a while about that. But yeah, that's it. I'm not expecting Logan at practice today, maybe later this week. But yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys. Talk soon, and hope that y'all have a happy Sunday, happy New Year's, happy holidays, and maybe the Titans will give y'all a win.